flaws and things like that, flaws from outside the ring. They don't want to see that.
And then you're not seen as that athlete anymore. Um, they then start to think of the prejudice and all of the negative connotations. You're no longer the darling. Oh yeah, but you see how he was talking to the people after, and you threw the belts down, man. How disrespectful is that? Well, it's human nature, man. It's human nature, and the human experience and the human psyche is very interesting, very very interesting.
Let's be real, Noble, yeah? Let's be real. It's very hard to tell a man to jump into a ring with gloves on
Mm,
and try and knock a man out,
mm.
but then not to show no type of aggression anywhere else. That is difficult.
It's
That is difficult because you have to have a certain mindset to even be able to box. I don't care what nobody says. You have to have a certain mindset to be able to participate in combat sports.
mhm.
Now, there was a point. If you go to any fighter in this world, there was a point that when he wanted to become a fighter, and it's usually when that person faced some sort of adversity or something. That's
Yes.
what you name any fighter. The
Mm.
Tyson series just came out on
Um,
Disney Plus. It's
have,
on.
have you watched it?
I've watched it. I binged it in one sitting.
From what I
That
heard, wait a minute, is this the same thing with Hulu? Or is this a total different
the
thing?
one with Hulu, but Disney have the Hulu rights in the UK.
Okay, I
So the Wu Tang series, all of that is on there. But when you watch that series, it shows young Tyson. It was bullies that made him become a fighter.
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was bullies that made him become a fighter. All right, name anybody else. Name any fighter in this world. There's a point they became a fighter.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell a man to jump in the ring and only be aggressive there. That fighter will show outside the ring at some point.
Well, you
That's
got
why we see a lot of our top fighters who have faced these things. Look at Tyson on the plane the other day.
oh my God, with that crazy dude behind him, irritating him and stuff with
And
the
then what did he do as soon as the man got too close? What he
yeah.
knows how to do best?
Mm-hmm.
Boxed him.
Yeah. I mean, look, you can't get into people's personal space. You can't, and especially with that someone with the credentials of Iron Mike Tyson, you would be an absolute idiot, or you'd be someone who's looking to then try and pursue a financial claim via suing, as these Americans love to do.
There you go.
It's crazy, and as you say, the pugilists, the whole point of that is to separate someone from their consciousness. We got muscle memory. You're drilling certain maneuvers and punches and combinations. Sometimes, and I know of people saying that something's happened and they've just automatically, based upon days and weeks of doing certain drills, they just maneuver in a certain way, kind of thing. So it's challenging, very challenging, as you say, to be able to train, number one, and then outside of training, just be a normal civilian and switch off this killer instinct that you're trying to hone and and perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that's why I just don't understand when people like, oh my God, I can't believe he done that. And yo, come on, man. Come on. You know what this sport's about. And I don't agree with his behavior myself, but I understand the pressure that he was under, and I understand that he slipped up. He didn't hurt nobody, so he gets a second chance. But people are acting like it's an animal, or see what I mean. But when he's in the ring, that's what they want to see. But it's hard, man. You gotta be in a mindset. That's why they tell you not to box angry,
Oh
but
yeah,
some people need to be angry to box.
yeah, yeah. To get into that
Some
zone,
people,
innit?
yeah, they have to be. Some people can't get into the zone unless they're angry, or some people will put them. Who was it that? Who was it? I read a book before, and it was an actor, and he was saying that anytime he wanted to switch it on in sad scenes, he would think about like sad times in his
Yeah,
life,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and that would automatically get him into that zone. And I believe it's the same with fighting.
Mm.
So
Some
I just put it: if AJ won now, you're on top of the world, so you ain't got no time to be angry. But when you lose, to what I'm saying, and you're probably thinking, damn,
yeah.
I had him. Remember in the ninth round, he was close, man.
Yes.
He was right. So it's like, yo,
Yes.
I had him, man. Why did I? Oh, I can't believe it, man. Do you know what I mean? It's more frustration.
Yes. 100%. 100%. I mean, should he continue with all the crap he's made? Should he just not like ride off into the sunset and say, "This loudest thing, bro. And I got my money. I'm gonna do whatever business I've got in my mind, or I'll train folk or whatever, and put his knowledge and skills
Nah,
back into people."
nah, no. But when you're in a sport like boxing, yeah, there's only a short window to
I,
make.
yes.
There's only a short window, and when I say short window, he might have another 3-4 years to make 150 mil.
All right, Mark, before you continue, what that 150 mil, what's that going to do to him when he can't stand up and doesn't know who he is and he's got CTE and this and that and tremors and
That's if he gets into those kind of fights. You see what I'm saying?
yeah.
That's like he could have Joshua. Joshua can fight me or you and sell out Wembley.
And
You
it,
get what I'm saying? Like he don't need to be in no life and death fights where man he can just throw. He can just gas up stories. So he can just like say, yo, he can make stories up like, yo, this dude, I used to spar him. He started getting he wrote a message to me on Instagram. He can make stories up and say, yo, I'm gonna fight him. We're gonna settle this grudge.
mm,
Remember when Joshua fought for the British title against Dillian White? They made out like these two man hated each other.
oh no, the
They
promotion was
made out
crazy.
like, yo, when we fought in the amateurs, it was a big story, and Joshua made £3 million for that fight. A British title fight.
Oh, is that unusual then?
Oh, British title man are usually getting 50K, you know, but
What?
man are usually getting 50K for a British title fight. Man got 3 million for that fight. So what I'm saying is, do that 3-4 times more, and because at this point he's hustling not even for himself no more.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
He's set for life.
Generational
Anyone
thing.
who's alive right now
Mm,
is set as far as on his side. But when you're in that position, you gotta build wealth now
yeah, 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 yeah,
for the
yeah.
people that you ain't gonna meet.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't retire. I'd take 3-4 more fights, then retire. Just leave the game with as fat as you possibly can. I'm not saying an agreed thing. I'm just saying you've built yourself up now. Get some of this money, retire, and
How?
leave money
No,
there for your people.
I get what you're saying, and I don't think you can correct me if I'm wrong, but he doesn't take much damage in that respect. But he clearly has to spar and stuff. These
Yes,
these
a lot of
mini,
sparring.
this is what I'm saying. Thousands of rounds of sparring. He's done amateur, now he's professional and all that business. This will take a toll, man. Trustfully, praise the Most High. It's not going to be manifested in any real debilitating way, like Muhammad Ali, etc. But like we gotta be realistic, man. When we love combat sports, whether it be kickboxing, boxing, MMA, these athletes are putting their life on the line every damn time they're training, and especially when they're in competition.
You're right. You're right, Noble, 100%. You're right, man. And I hear ya. And sparring does take its toll. That what you put in your body through does take its toll. But you've been doing that for the last what? My man's what, 33? So you've been doing that for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
So what's to say do it for a couple more years just to secure certain other things
Mm,
financially? You don't have to fight no killers.
yes.
You don't need to fight none of the up and coming guys. And I know people are gonna screw for me saying this. You don't need to fight none of the up and coming guys. you can just go on a little AJ tour now, like what you ain't
Exactly.
done. You know
Yes,
what I'm saying? And
yes.
just collect money,
Yeah.
and then just put it, put your gloves up now. But now you're set.
Mm,
And when I say you're set, I'm talking about I don't deal with us.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not talking about us who's here now. I'm
Grandchildren.
talking about your great grandchildren have
Mm,
got to start
yeah,
based off of what you did.
yeah.
They've got to start now. So you, one of your great grandchildren, you can have things in place, to say my first, my firstborn, like my first 5 great grandchildren, I want them all to have a lump sum when they get to 25.
Hmm.
These are the kind of things that happen in other communities. And I know we're speaking to everyone right now, so
Yes.
don't take this the wrong way. But in other communities, things are set up like that.
This
So
is
a man may never have even met his great grandfather, but
mm,
he knows my man left something for him.
the AJ
Do you see where I'm coming
trust.
from?
Yeah, listen, I
Yeah,
understand exactly
there
what you're
you
saying.
go.
And most importantly, those great grandchildren can say, AJ trust, yeah, man, because my great so and so grandfather was a multiple time, heavyweight boxing champion, was very successful and did this and did that. And this is the fruits. This is the fruit that we can see.
There you go. Because remember, when these, what you have to remember in life, the world works a certain way. When you have a great grandchild, you're forgotten about.
Mm,
So by the time you pass and your great grandchild, their great grandchild don't know who you ever was.
mm,
And even in the eyes of the world now, you're not going to be remembered in that way. I've told this story before. I can't remember if it was on here or if it was on Express Truth, but I remember I was going to get a car with my sister. My
mm,
sister was getting a car from Audi, a showroom, and we was in this showroom, yeah, sitting down, and this man came from behind the counter, and all he kept saying was his granddad had played. This was his granddad, or was it his great? Could have been his great. Had played for Aston Villa. I ever told you that story?
nah, nah, nah.
Yeah, he was a car salesman, and he was saying that his great grandfather played for Aston Villa. You see what I'm saying? And
Yes,
what because of the legend that his great grandfather was,
indeed.
he was given like season tickets complimentary to this day to
Proper.
go to Villa. So what I'm trying to say to you is, at the time he was telling me, yo, he was like a rock star back in them days.
Mm,
But my man meant nothing in today's world. This man was a working man now, and you know was talking about, oh, what I get from his name now is a season ticket. Sometimes I don't go, I can sell a ticket or rare, but that's what he gets now.
but that's still part of the legacy. He's still left a legacy for for the ones who clearly don't remember and may have not met that person, but there's still something to say, yo, this is what he did. He was doing his thing back then.
1,000% when you look at it in a positive light. In a negative light,
Mm,
you can look at it and say, well, in them days, your great grandfather was 5 times richer than the average man, and none of your family benefited from that
yeah.
besides getting free season tickets now.
Mm,
And me personally, with all due respect to this man, because the internet's a small place, he might listen to this. With all due respect to him, I don't know your granddad because it wasn't in my time. So unless your granddad was Maradona or Pele, and even in that case, we'd just be like, oh, no way, that's your granddad. No
yeah.
way.
Yeah.
And you'd move on. So what I'm basically trying to say is nobody cares after 50 years
Nah.
unless you was a legend. I'm talking about unless you was a Muhammad Ali of the sport. And even then, it means nothing if you haven't put things in place. So
Yes.
my sole reason for saying AJ should carry on fighting is to do that.
Mm.
Set up certain things that, yo, your name lives forever. Just like how a man will lift up the toilet seat, and see what it says? Armitage Shanks.
Yes, brother.
You see what I'm drawing for now,
Yeah,
Noble?
man.
He says, what? Armitage Shanks? Family, you know how long Armitage Shanks did?
Any though.
But but I can sit down on podcast in 2022 and tell you that name because only certain people know what that is, know what that means. Only certain people think when he decided to do that, he weren't thinking about him. He did it for the reason we just said his name.
Yes.
So what I'm trying to say to brothers is that's how brothers have to start thinking now.
Yeah,
legacy.
Big picture thinking, man. Not short
man.
term. Yes.
Facts.
100% agree with that. We can't be necessarily, and listen, there's nothing wrong with living in the moment, but you most definitely got to plan for the future. And the future is not necessarily when your time expires on this realm of existence, but as we've been alluding to, it's the generations after you. And maybe not everybody can do that there, but if you can have that mindset and get to a point where at least maybe your grandchildren can say, oh yeah, granddad's got like a little fund for me and stuff, this is cool. Or he's got an opportunity because there's a product or a service that's still going, or you know what I mean?
There you go. And that's all my thing is. That's all my thing is. So I'm just saying, with a man like AJ, I would say use what the position you're in now to do that for yourself. I seen a video. I remember, and you might remember this slightly different from me because you're a bit older, but look at Chris Eubank Sr. Without his son boxing now, he kind of nobody would care really.
Well, you're right. It's people who my age and older who can still clearly remember Eubanks and all that. People who are for younger, but nah. Without his son doing the thing and putting that Eubanks name in the present forefront, nah.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason I say this is because I've had to say to youngers, like in my family or youngers that I know, based on the upcoming fight, they're like, yo, Chris Eubank Jr.'s fighting Conor Ben. And I'll be like, yeah, the reason it's Britain are eating it up is because both their dads used to box back in the day.
Yes.
They're like, oh, for real? I'm like, yo, Google that, man. These men had like 2 fights.
Yeah, man.
Like, I'm telling them, I'm showing them, but they don't really care. They're just like, oh, okay. A couple of them have come back, but that means nothing to them. Just like when elders are telling me about man from back in the early days, and I'm just thinking, yo, it's a different time, man.
Yeah.
Like, yo, if he was around today, and I'm like, you can't say that because they train different now.
Very true.
Do things different. So that's how them kids look at it as well.
Yeah.
That's how they look at it. These young people look at it the same way. Like, yo, I don't know who them man. I don't care. I care about now. And that's what I'm saying. Legacy is a serious thing. You got to build. All right. Tyson Fury has more of a legacy than Antony Joshua already.
Unpack that.
All right. What I mean by that is Tyson Fury has done something that no other person from his community has done.
Okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yep.
He's the Gypsy King.
Yes.
The Gypsy King is the Gypsy King. He's made young traveling men feel proud to say they're young traveling men.
Yes. That is an excellent point. That is an excellent point.
This is my whole point. Like a man knows, yo, that is one of us. No matter when you say the Gypsy King, you're putting a bat signal in the sky. Conor McGregor, what the man's there have done for Ireland. He didn't get rich and famous and forget he was Irish. He got rich and famous and said, I'm Irish.
Yeah, man. I'll put that on my back.
Legacy is a bit. When you go down to, if you go Ireland, a man's glad to call him one of theirs.
Well, Mark is a little bit different at the moment. I think.
I know he misbehaved. I know he misbehaved recently, but you get my point, though, innit?
Yeah. Pre the crazy Conor McGregor, yeah, everything was great gravy. Like, yeah, everyone was very proud to say that Conor was repping Ireland and stuff. Yeah, 100% agree with that.
All right, it's like when I've been in America in the past, and I said to my missus, "Yo, this is the place that Jay-Z comes from, where we are now,
Mhm.
or this is the place that Little Kim comes from, or Biggie, or
Biggie,
Nas, or
yeah.
Rare." She be, oh, for real? And that's what I mean by legacy. When a man goes, and I said this on Express Truth, I think last week, when a man goes to Liverpool, he has to think of the Beatles.
Yeah.
I'm not. When you go to Liverpool, a man has to say the Beatles. A man wants to see where the Beatles come from.
It's the biggest export
There you go.
globally. You think of Liverpool, you think of the Beatles, or
There you go.
or if you're a combat sports person, you think of Till and Molly and Paddy and them. You know what I
But
mean?
no, no, let me not even cut you off. That man ain't even 5%.
Oh, of course not. Of course not.
Yeah,
Come
they're
on.
not the Beatles. A man goes to a man goes to Liverpool, and a man has to know where the Beatles come from. If you go to Memphis, you have to know where was Elvis Presley from.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm talking about, legacy.
Yeah.
And I just think with a lot of black British fighters, they don't have that. They don't have that, and I don't know why a lot of people don't cling on to that more.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
think about it in this way as we wind the bill down. People maybe have been born in England, but the heritage wise, they may be from one of the African countries or from one of the Caribbean countries. So do they fully put the Caribbean or the African country on their back, or do they 100% rep England?
It's difficult. It's difficult. It's very difficult because even taking it back to the last episode, Rocky's a Jamaican,
Hmm.
but my uncle said it to me the other day, and he said it best. He said, "Yo, you could have lived in Jamaica your whole life, spent every year there, every day, and left when you was 28 for a year, and come back. You're now a foreigner."
Oh yeah,
Do you get what I'm saying? So, man repping, man repping yard won't sell,
which is terrible, Mark.
but
That's
then
terrible,
it
man.
it's horrible. It's one of the worst things that has happened, that can happen growing up. You truly have no identity,
Mm.
because in one breath you go yard, yo, you're not Jamaican, yo, you ain't Jamaican, you're not one of us. In England, when the time's right, you'll get told you're not one,
Yeah, go
and
back
you're
to your
not
own country.
American, so you don't have no identity. But in our time now, there's more identity. So that's why I say Rocky has to hold on to a place like Erdington.
Mm.
You have to. Erdington will love you back. They will. Maybe not Birmingham, but Erdington will love you back. You can have that house on the when you have to come eventually. When that day comes, eventually you could open a gym in Erdington
Yeah,
and
man.
make it an historic gym. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yep, 1,000%.
Just like how you've got in Rocky, when he goes back to Philadelphia,
Yeah.
and to the people in Philly, that's just rock. I'm
Hmm.
talking about Rocky the film.
Yeah.
To the people in Philly, it's like, yo, that's Rocky the champ. But outside of Philly, he's like a legend in the sport. Do you see where I'm coming from? It's like a safe haven almost.
Mm.
Like when Bill Clinton moved to Harlem. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. That's an excellent and interesting comparison that was.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm trying to say. This is what I'm trying to say.
For shiggity.
That's one of them, man.
Definite. Emma, again, enjoyed the build. We took it some different places, and I think the peeps are gonna enjoy the conversation again. throw your socials out, and again, I'll make sure I put the links below in the description, sir.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna be a regular man, a regular. So we don't even need to. It's Express Truth Show on all one word on everything, and then my personal one is Seymour Cake 87. That's SEAMOORE Cake 87. See what I'm saying? And shout out CFR. I'm definitely locked in to what I'm saying. And I enjoy, no, like I said, Noble, man, you're one of my favorite podcasters outside of myself. For
Give
real.
thanks.
That's
Give
for real.
thanks.
See what I'm
Honors.
saying? So CFR news, you get me like whenever CFR sports, CFR news, whenever we can link up, man, it's gonna be epic, man.
Every time, every time. And if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Do that one step further. Like, comment, share that thing up. And if you want to get some nice premium clothing, go over there to that Instagram page, CFR, not CFR, apologies, Supreme of the UK, and check out the stuff there. Much appreciated, Mark. We will most definitely catch up real soon and feed some interesting builds again.
Most definitely.